Hello dear readers and subscribers. Performance art is arguably one of the most experimental and radical art forms of the post-war era. Today, the art form is very institutionalized and one might think that it is quite awkward to witness, pretentious, or even plainly ludicrous. However, at the root of performance art, there was the idea to move away from art as decoration or a commodity for the rich. It wanted to be more experimental, more avant-garde. It dematerialized the artwork further after conceptual and minimal art, and the artwork was not only the idea, but also the execution of the idea, and the body of the artist became the medium, and even the spectator became an integral part of the performance. In the end, the art form is meant to move you, to shock you, to provoke you, to intimidate you, to stir your thoughts, or simply to make you laugh. As a result, today I am pleased to invite you to move away all your preconceived thoughts about performance art and discover the canon of performance art today. I am pleased to present you the top 10 highest ranked performance artists, and please note that this selection is just an excerpt of our more extensive top 30, so without further ado, let's witness the first performances. We start with Otobong Nkanga, born in 1974 in Kano, Nigeria, who is an artist whose work is deeply rooted in ecological themes, emphasizing interconnectedness and transformation through poetics of entanglement. Her expansive practice, spanning multiple disciplines, delves into social, political, and material relationships among bodies, territories, minerals, and the earth itself. Her research-based approach weaves together humans and landscapes, organic and non-organic matter, and the economies of the global north and global south. Nkanga constructs pathways that translate the natural world, encompassing plants, herbs, minerals, and living organisms, into interconnected scenarios that evoke memories, labor, home, care, ownership, emotion, touch, and scent. Marta Rosler is a Brooklyn-based art world icon, with an artistic practice spanning various mediums including video, photography, text, installation, and, of course, performance. Rosler's art delves into the public sphere and the everyday, both tangible and virtual, with a particular focus on their impact on women. She engaged in creating art that explores the intersection of domestic life and the broader context of war and national security. Her photomontage series in particular have played a pivotal role in her examination of these themes. We encounter a similar perspective in her performance pieces. Think of the semiotics of the kitchen, a parodic cooking demonstration in which the gestures with the kitchen tools depart from the normal use, discussing frustration and oppression. Born in Tokyo, Japan in 1933, residing and working in the vibrant artistic hub of New York City, Yoko Ono is a multimedia artist known for a diverse body of work spanning performance, instructions, film, music, and writing. Ono made a pivotal move to New York in 1953, following her studies in philosophy in Japan. By the late 1950s, she had become an integral part of the city's vibrant avant-garde scene. In 1960, she opened her Chambers Street loft, which served as a platform for a series of radical performance works and the realization of her early conceptual pieces. Yoko Ono aims to include the audience into her artistic process and execution. Think of her instruction paintings, inviting the audience to tread on canvas instructed by text, and arguably her most iconic performance to date, Cut Piece from 1964, where she invites random audience members to approach her and cut her clothes with a pair of scissors until she was almost completely naked. The performance is about giving and taking, but also an analogy towards Hiroshima bombing. Indirectly, it has also become one of the most iconic feminist performance pieces. Marina Abramovic is a true pioneering figure in the world of performance art. In the early 70s, her groundbreaking work laid the foundation for the evolution of performance into a recognized visual art form. Early in her career, she introduced groundbreaking and notorious pieces like Rhythm Zero in 1974, where she offered herself as an object of experimentation to the audience. and Rhythm 5 in 1974, during which she lay within a burning 5-point star to the point of losing consciousness. These performances blended conceptual ideas with physicality, endurance with empathy, complicity with a loss of control, and passivity with danger. They explored self-discovery, not only for herself, but also for her audience, while delving into concepts of time, stillness, energy, pain, and heightened consciousness through long-duration performances. From 75 to 88, she collaborated with the German artist Alÿs, exploring themes of duality in their work. In 89, she returned to solo performances, which in 2010 resulted in one of the most significant milestones in her career with The Artist is Present, where Abramovic sat motionless for hours each day over 3 months, engaging in silent eye contact with numerous strangers individually, before being moved by seeing Alÿs once more, having grown apart for 22 years. Francis Alÿs is a Belgian artist born in Antwerp in 1959. He has consistently channeled his unique poetic and imaginative sensibility into addressing anthropological and geopolitical concerns, often focusing on observations of everyday life. His artistic practice, which encompasses a wide range of media such as installation, video, painting and drawing, and public actions as performance, is characterized by its exploration of these themes through what he describes as a sort of discursive argument composed of episodes, metaphors, or parables. Throughout his career, Alÿs has engaged in multifaceted projects that involve thought-provoking actions. These actions include carrying a leaking can of paint along the Israel-Palestine border, filming his attempts to enter the center of a tornado, and orchestrating the movement of a massive sand dune by 10 centimeters. No matter how absurd some of these performative actions might seem at first glance, they are rooted in a philosophical argument, a socio-political issue, or a symbolic narrative. Born in 1940 in Linz, Austria, Waltraud Hollinger changed her name to VALIE Explore, all uppercase letters, and introduced herself to the Viennese art scene aged 28. She is a pioneering figure in the realms of film, video, and installation art, crafting one of the most influential bodies of feminist art in the post-war era. Her revolutionary work in the 1960s and 70s introduced Europe to an entirely new paradigm of radical feminism, one deeply rooted in physicality of the body and its intricate relationship with the environment, culture, and society. Her work challenges audiences by scrutinizing the politics of eroticism, the male gaze, and liberation. Think of her iconic Tap and Touch performances from 68 to 71, allowing strangers on the street to touch her breasts publicly. Mona Hatoum was born into a Palestinian family in Beirut, Lebanon, in 1952, and she has been based in London since 1975. The artist intertwines poetry and politics, delving into various artistic mediums encompassing performance, installation, sculpture, video, photography, and also works on paper. Her artistic journey commenced in the 80s, marked by visceral video and performance art pieces that explored the human body in profound ways. Yet, from the early 1990s onwards, Hatoum increasingly embarked on creating large-scale installations designed to immerse the viewer in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, juxtaposing desire with revulsion and fear with fascination. We enter the podium of our list with Yayoi Kusama. Born in Matsumoto, Japan in 1929, Kusama's art navigates the realms of both microscopic and macroscopic universes, offering a unique artistic perspective marked by vivid color, pumpkins, polka dots, and infinity. Kusama's most important performances are often associated with her involvement in the 1960s art scene, particularly in New York City. During this period, she staged various happenings and events that were both groundbreaking and influential. Or what about her self-obliteration performance, where she visualizes being lost and overwhelmed by the panic and feeling of infinite polka dots? Born in Fort Wayne, Indiana in 1941, Bruce Nauman reshaped the boundaries of art and introducing novel methodologies in his radical and interdisciplinary practice. Since the 1960s, Nauman has fearlessly engaged with existential dichotomies such as life and death, love and hate, pleasure and pain. His work delves into themes like the interplay between image and language, the dynamic between art and viewer, the generative interaction between positive and negative space, or the use of the body as material, in particular in his performances. Think of his iconic dance or exercise on the perimeter of a square, or square dance, and walking in an exaggerated manner around the perimeter of a square from 67 and 68. Last but not least, born in Krefeld, Germany in 1921, Joseph Beuys was one of the most prolific artists of his generation. In 1961, he was appointed professor of monumental sculpture at the Düsseldorf Art Academy, where he became an influential and charismatic figure, inspiring a new generation of German artists, joining the Fluxus group and producing some of the most iconic pieces of performance art. In 1965, he covered his head with honey and gold leaf and walked through an art gallery with a dead hare in his arms. He whispered and mumbled to the hare, explaining the artworks on display. The use of unconventional materials and the act of explaining art to a lifeless creature challenged the traditional role of the artist and the way art is perceived. In 1974, Beuys traveled to New York for this performance, where he spent 3 days in a room with a living coyote. He wrapped himself in felt and used a shepherd's crook. The performance explored themes of isolation, communication, and the relationship between humans and nature. His performances are absurd but witty, humorous yet disturbing, ridiculous and ingenious. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Feel free to watch more of our top list videos, for instance our video about the top 10 female painters today next. Support us on Patreon and please consider subscribing to stay posted for more contemporary art. Bye.